What is up, everyone? Welcome to It's Been a Week. I'm your host, Ben McDonald, and this is your weekly dose of whatever the hell just happened. And we're back with another episode. You guys, we're going to get straight into this. It takes a lot for me to get angry. I get annoyed very easily, right? But for me to get mad and angry, it actually takes quite a bit. You better get ready. Sit down. I hope you're driving. I hope you're sitting down. Grab your popcorn. Pour your martini, because I'm about to spill the fucking tea on this story that happened this week. I have never in my life experienced something like this. I have never been treated by somebody like this. Like, this is wild. So get ready and buckle up. Last week, if you listened, I said that I was supposed to have a guest, my friend from Australia, and I had mentioned, like, sometimes when you're doing a podcast, there's issues with scheduling and time zones and all the things, and it's just part of it. So the guest last week, she was supposed to be on here, and normally the podcast is filmed like Thursday, Friday. I'll edit it over the weekend. It's ready by Monday, and then the episode comes out Tuesday for you guys. That's kind of the normal schedule. Last week, I was traveling a lot, so I wasn't able to get the episode done Thursday, Friday. So it was supposed to be done that weekend. And when the guest, she was like, she could only do Monday, our Monday, which in Australia was Tuesday. And it was going to be 9 p.m. for me Monday night is when we were going to do this interview, which I had told her. I said, look, I'm willing to do this. Like, I'm already going to be up all night editing, so it's fine. But, like, please don't stand me up, because I'm already doing this at, like, literally the 11th hour. And, we're going to record this at 9 p.m. The episode comes out at 5 a.m. on Tuesday. So there is not a lot of wiggle room here. There's not a lot of room for error. So as long as you promise, like, we have to do this. And she's like, I've got you. We're locked in. It's all good. You're my thing, all the things, right? So that was on Saturday, Sunday. We're like, yep, we're doing this. All good. So Monday night at 6 p.m., 3 hours before our scheduled session, I messaged her and I said, hey, I'll see you in 3 hours, sending you the link. All good. And she goes, love you, can't wait. And I go, email sent. And she said, so proud. I've responded with some points in case we get stuck on what to talk about. She sends me an email that night and it says, can't wait. You might want to call this episode It's Been a Fucking Year. I pulled some points from my therapist, aka ChatGPT, if we need to steer the conversation. I can't wait. She sent me a bunch of bullet points and she goes, talk soon, babe. So then 9 p.m. rolls around. I'm in the studio. I've, the software that we used, it's similar to, it's like a Zoom type situation. So I'm on the thing waiting. She's not there. So I send her a DM and I said, hey, are you ready? And then I said, the link is in your email. No response. So I wait a few minutes and then I give her a video call from Instagram. It's like the FaceTime on Instagram. No response. So I wait a little bit, do it again. No response. So then I text her and off of Instagram now. And I just said, hey, please don't be standing me up, with like the scared emoji face. And then by 9:30, I responded and I said, okay, I guess this isn't happening, because I've now been waiting here for 30 minutes. So that night, I was pretty annoyed. I mean, I was pretty pissed, because I'm like, this is crazy. Like, you promised me you were going to do this. Like, we were all set. Everything was good. I told you, like, I mean, if she would have told me like that she couldn't do it, I would have found someone else. I would have figured out something else. But it is now 9:30 p.m. Monday night, and I need to have an episode ready by 5 a.m. on Tuesday. So she put me in a really hard spot. So I was extremely annoyed, but I was like, you know what, whatever. Like, maybe something came up. Maybe, I don't know. So I struggled to like scramble an episode together. I got the episode together. I got it out the next day. And I even mentioned to you guys, I was like, hey, this episode is from a few months back. It's an older episode. I had to like preface that, because it was in a weird position. I had to re-record my intro. I had to re-record the after show with AJ. I was up till 2 a.m. getting this all figured out. And the next morning I woke up and I still hadn't heard from her. So then I was like, okay, like, what if something happened to her? Because our scheduled time, it was 9 p.m. for me on Monday night. It was 12 p.m. noon for her in Australia. So that morning, I was like, maybe she went out and she's gotten in a car accident. Maybe something happened. I don't know. So I was just really, I was really starting to worry because I'm like, this is so weird. I have known this person for like 8 years. Like, we have been friends. We used to go to Soul Cycle all the time together. She lived in LA. We were really good friends. We were literally going to start a podcast together. This isn't just like a casual, like, random friend that I met once. Like, I was very good friends with her. So I texted her again and I said, "Are you okay?" Like, question mark. No response. So then I waited a couple days and I was like freaking out. I'm checking her Instagram. I'm like, has she posted anything? And like, I'm reading her comments to see, like, did someone post on her thing, like she's been in an accident or something, she's in the hospital. I looked on her Facebook page, nothing. Her last post on Facebook was from a few months ago. It was her mom's birthday. So I even went on her mom's Facebook and I DM'd her and I said, "Hey, I'm a friend of your daughter. She was supposed to be on my podcast yesterday and I can't get a hold of her. I'm starting to get worried. Have you heard from her in the last 24 hours? Now, I'm not friends with her mom on Facebook, so she hasn't even seen my message. So I'm sure it went to spam or whatever. So like, I was like, whatever. So I then waited another day, messaged her again on Instagram, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm really starting to worry about you because like this is so unlike her." And now we are like this is 4 days. So Saturday morning, I wake up and I was looking, I was on my Instagram and I checked my story and I could see it, it popped up. I saw that she watched my Instagram story. She literally has been watching my story. So I was like, whoa. So I'm like, okay, so she's alive. I'm like, this is so weird. So then I messaged her and I said, what the fuck? I said, I saw you watched my story. I go, you stood me up and I've been reaching out to you for a week worried about you. I said, can I at least just get a response? Like, I just want to make sure that she's like, okay. No response. So I'm like, what the hell? So I was like, okay. And I'm trying to like think. I'm like, there was a 3-hour period between like, can't wait, love you, this is going to be amazing, to completely ghosted. Like, what? So then on Sunday, I'm, still looking at her Instagram, just being like, she hasn't read my message, which she's obviously purposely not reading my messages. And also when I've the text messages that I've sent to her, she has an iPhone. So when I go in to type the text message out, it's blue, right? Like when you press the send button, it's blue. And then when I send it, it turns green. So after looking online and reading a little bit, that means someone has blocked you because like my iPhone is trying to send an iMessage to another iPhone and then it can't go through. That's why it turns green. So she's blocked my cell phone number. She's not answering. She's not opening my DMs. So then on Sunday, I'm on Instagram and I'm on my It's Been a Week Instagram account. And I see she has an Instagram story. And I'm like, what? So I click on her story and she had posted some stuff. I don't know. I think it was about the bombs in Iran or whatever. And I looked on there and then I went back to my personal Instagram and she didn't have a story. So she blocked me from her story on Instagram on my personal account. So I literally I responded to her from It's Been a Week and I said, so you blocked me and you're seeing my stories and you're continuing to ignore me. I said, by the way, you forgot to block this account. So I have no idea what the fuck is going on, but the fact that somebody is like, this is sick. Like, it is sociopathic. Like, the fact that I have been for a week, like, literally wondering if you're in a hospital bed, if you've been in an accident, if something's happened to you, and you can't even have the decency. If you don't want to do the podcast, fine. I can get over that. You ditched me at the last minute. You totally stood me up. You totally like screwed me. I can get over that. Honestly, I like whatever. That's fine. Like, that's part of the gig. I get it. What I cannot get over is that I have spent an entire week messaging your mother, who I don't even know. Like, I don't know her friends in Australia. I don't know people like that many people over there in Sydney. Like, I have no way of contacting her. For you to block my cell phone number, block me from your stories, and then not open my DMs, and continue to post your own stories and watch my stories. I think it is sick. I think it's disgusting. I think there's zero excuse. I don't care. I hope she listens to this. If she comes back at me, like, there is no excuse. There is nothing you can say. If you were going through something, if you didn't like the way you looked that day, if you had something like I don't know, you didn't have to tell me that exact moment, but it's been a week. You had a full week. You could at least just say, hey, I'm alive. I'm okay. I'm going through something. Hey, I'm fine. I don't want to talk about it. something. You could say something. The fact that you have led me on to go on this wild goose chase, thinking that you're like, I don't know, dead in a ditch. Fuck you, honestly. Like, done. Sociopathic, psycho. I have never ever in my life been treated this way by someone, and I think it's just this, like, it's disgusting. It's sick. It's actually sick. Like, I'm sitting here worried about you, and it's just it's sick. Like, you've got some fucking screws loose. So I don't know. I guess my advice to you would be to get that checked out. This is probably why your life's going the way it's going. So props to you. I'm done. It's been a week. So that, I don't know, you guys. Like, it has been like consuming me for the last few days, because I'm just like, who does this? Am I like, has anyone listening, has anyone ever done something like this to you? Like, is it a manipulation thing? Is it like I said, a sociopathic thing? Is this like, this is not right and not normal? Like, it's weird. It's bizarre. Like, I think she's probably embarrassed, or maybe, something that she, fell short and she didn't show up for the podcast, or she knew she let me down. I don't know. I really don't know. I just think it is bizarre. Like, it is wild. And to treat someone like that, oof. I don't know. Karma's a bitch. So I know that I was a good friend. I know that I did everything I could to try to make sure you were okay. And I just think it's really, really fucked up what you did. So it was pretty crazy, right? Like, that's wild. Like, I don't know, man. That one threw me for a loop. But moving on from that, we have a great episode today. We are with one of my amazing friends. She is incredible. She's so talented, and she's the GOAT. Like, literally, she is the #1 headshot photographer, and she is the greatest of all time. And I'm so excited for you guys to hear this. So let's get into it. Okay, everyone. I am so excited for this next guest. I have known her since 2014, which is crazy. And she is not only the #1, the GOAT, the best headshot photographer ever. Not only my opinion, but literally there's like Backstage has voted her. There's been many, many articles voting her the GOAT. My friend and mentor, Miss Stephanie Girard.
Hello.
Welcome to It's Been a Week.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How's your week been?
It's been a week. It's good. It's good. Everything's good here. Busy, beautiful weather. Can't complain. Has it been 14 years?
14 years.
Oh my God.
So what's so funny, so for everyone listening, Stephanie is, like I said, she's the #1 headshot photographer. And when I was a young little wannabe actor in Minnesota, I went back this morning. I have our first emails that we ever, like, the first time I ever emailed you. And I was like, which is so funny because I want to get on here later and talk about how annoying the emailing part is, being a photographer and dealing with people. And then I was reading and I was like, I was one of them. Like,
full circle moment.
Literally, I was reading the emails I sent you and I was like, oh my God, this is so cringing. It is so embarrassing. And I was like, I think one of them was like, hey, I'm an actor from Minneapolis. What's your availability? Like, just open.
That's it.
Yeah. And then I think I came at you and was like, so I want to get full body sexy photos, and I want to do this, and I want to get this, and I want to do this. And you were so nice, but you were like, well, we can do a custom package, or we'll do some, modeling looks and some this looks. But I was like, it was cringing. And then afterwards, I'm emailing you. I'm like, so which one do you think's best for my theatrical look? And I'm like you don't have things to do. Oh.
But guiding people is part of it.
I know.
And especially you've always been so sweet and like passionate and hungry for what you do. And like that I'm always down for, and you always are like, you always from the beginning have showed up ready to play and create and work and like kind of down for anything, that's an awesome thing. I love that.
If for anyone that has followed me on social media for any amount of time, pretty much every photo that I post, any professional photo or, modeling photo, like you've taken we've done like what, 12 photo shoots,
Something like that.
like something crazy. And
Yeah.
every single one is like, not only just headshots, we're going to do extra modeling shots. We're going to do Zoolander,
And a
Blue
tire
Steel
shop.
shots. Oh, the tire shop. So I did this Will Smith movie and I had bleach blonde hair and bleach blonde eyebrows. And I was like, well, before I go back, I should do a photo shoot. And I'll never forget, we were out in literally a tire shop and you go, okay, now like rub the dirt and get dirty. And I was like, I put one finger on a tire and I like rubbed my shirt and you were like, no. And you grabbed your hands and you like covered me in grease.
Sounds right.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it worked.
And it worked. Okay, so being the number one headshot photographer obviously does not happen like overnight. So how did you get to this point where it's like, you're booked out. How far in advance are you booked out?
It just depends on the time of year and what's currently going on in the industry. As you know, it's been a rocky road here in Hollywood the last few years. Typically at least a month. There's times where we've been booked up to 3 months in advance, which is insane. We used to have these things called pilot season. That would be the influx of everybody wanting headshots and people coming in from New York and all over. It's just kind of more even now as far as like peak busy season and a little less busy. It's more just busy across the board. Right. So typically at least like a month in advance. That being said, there's little pockets that usually come up because people get callbacks or book something or, life happens.
Right. Of course. So how did you get, like, tell me your journey of how you even got into photography and then how you navigated to headshot photography specifically, and then how you become the best.
You're so sweet. I started when I was living in New York. I've been in LA almost 20 years. And I started when I was living in New York City, playing around with cameras and just photographing my gorgeous actor model friends, anyone that I could just pull. This was before Instagram, really just on the beginning of digital photography. And we would go up to my little rooftop in Hell's Kitchen and play around and just create art for the sake of creating art. There was no showcasing of it or just like, I'm going to buy a camera and do this. We were just creating. And then slowly it would be, oh, who took this photo? Oh, okay. Well, what does she charge? And then it kind of, gained a little momentum. Then when I moved to LA is where I built a business. I think New York was kind of my experimental stage of just playing around. And then once I got here, without sounding too hippy dippy, I feel like it felt like the universe put me here because people were responding to my work rather quickly. And then I just kind of kept shooting what I wanted to. As far as actors, in the beginning, I shot models and actors. I did a little fashion in New York, and I was working with some of the bigger modeling agencies in LA, especially with their models who wanted to be actors as well. So we would do headshots and then like an editorial in the afternoon. And yeah, we did that with you as well. And that was really cool because that also, I think, kind of prepped me to be able to then dive into a little bit of what we now call like PR editorial or actor portrait, which is a thing that actors get. And it used to be just, well-known actors that would do it. And now everybody kind of wants it in their portfolio. So yeah, it started that way. And then I just kept shooting. I didn't do any crazy forms of advertising or pushing of any way. I just kept trying to produce the best images I could. And this is a town where, the more people that are getting in front of your lens, then other people see it. And if the work is good, they tell their friends, their agents see it. It just kind of gets in front of people. Obviously, once social media came about, it just went at full speed ahead, of course. But backstage was initially like the first kind of award and recognition that then people saw in front of them, because that's the trade magazine that everybody here would read at the time.
Yeah, because before social media, that was the spot you would go to figure out your information. And you were voted number one multiple years in a row.
Yeah. Yeah.
So was there a moment when you were like, holy shit, I did it. Like I made it. Like was there like a moment where it was kind of, like as an actor, there's, you hit certain roles where you're like, whoa, I'm doing what I've been, wanting to do. Did you ever have that like aha moment?
I don't think it's one. I think at least from my perspective, I think for headshot photographers, it's such an interesting thing. There isn't there's no awards. We barely even ever see each other because we're all in our own studios. So I feel like the passage of time is where I start to recognize like I've been doing this for a bit, or the response from clients. When someone's like, I've been following you for 5 years and oh my God, like that's like, oh my God, this is incredible. Wow. I think there's many different moments when I've had a few actors recently that are doing really well and in pretty big movies, and seeing them on the red carpet and stuff. That to me is just awesome because, you get to see their journey. And whether that means you've been doing it a long time or you happen to photograph them right before they blew up, both of those things are exciting.
It's true that you don't really get the credit because, when they're doing stuff, it's like casting gets credit, costumes get credit, but like no one ever goes back and is like, how did you even get that audition in the first place? Which really comes down to your headshot.
Sure. Well, casting barely gets credit. I mean, they don't get all the applause and awards that a lot of other people in the industry do. There's a lot of people I think in this town that don't get as much credit as they deserve, but
that's true.
I don't know. I don't think we as headshot photographers do it for any type of applause or credit or recognition. For me, I love to do it. I love to photograph people and work with actors and, create awesome art and let them see themselves, how we see them and see kind of their like full potential as an actor.
And I think I can say too, it's fun when people look at the screen and they see pictures of themselves and then they're like, you see their face light up and they're like, oh my God.
I know. It's the best. Yeah.
So what if you could say like, because I feel like headshots have changed, right? You go way back, it was always like a black and white headshot. And then it became like, very outside up against a brick wall headshot. And now we've gotten more into like canvas headshots. So like, what do you think are some of like the trends that you love and like that are amazing and some that you're like, oh, these trends need to go away?
I think they don't move rapidly, which is good. I don't think it's interesting because I wish there was another word for it aside from trends. Because I don't think they're like fads. I think it's cyclical. I do think hopefully we won't be shooting, cross-armed against a brick wall again, but that was not my favorite trend. It really depends. I think it used to be more of, the photographers determining it, and there was a lot at one point of like the camera being way up here and you were looking up at it, which was not super flattering. It's such a big subject. I think it could be an entire podcast just talking about headshot trends. But I think depending on how celebrity portraits are shot, I think can influence it a little bit as far as even like colors and tones. And like it used to be like, you can't wear patterns, you can't wear white, you can't, there's so many don'ts due to technical reasons and other things that cameras couldn't handle it or how we shot it. It didn't really work. I love canvas. I love shooting people on canvas. I think you're creating a world without having to create a whole, backdrop behind them or environment behind them. And you get to pick colors and tones. I know you shoot on a lot of canvas as well. And you get to pick colors and tones to kind of influence how we feel about them and about the photo and coordinate with what they're wearing or what their skin tone or hair color, eye color is. I just love the flexibility of canvas. I also am like a junkie when it comes to my backdrops. I have 8 million different canvas and I'm constantly like making or buying new ones. So I don't know, in particular, I love it. I think something will evolve from it and maybe go beyond it at some point. But right now I'm loving that world that we're in with the canvas.
I love shooting on canvas because you get to be in an air-conditioned studio and not shooting outside in the elements. And it's also like, when you have a canvas, no two are the same. So like they're completely different. And plus you can position people different spots on the canvas. And then it's different, even if you're like here, whether you step 2 feet over here.
1 inch over. Yep.
Yeah. It's a totally different vibe. And then the way that it like, you know, like you said, people's eyes or their skin tone or what they're wearing, it makes the whole backdrop, it very like versatile.
And the same backdrop, you could put 3 different people on it and it could look completely different depending on who's standing in front of it, which is really fun.
And how close you have them to it. Like I've had some where, you know, you put them up pretty much touching the backdrop, and then sometimes I'll have them step like 4 giant steps forward, and it's a whole different, it looks completely different.
The focus, I think the thing I love about it most is the focus is always still on them. You know, they're still the main part of the subject.
Right.
As we're like, there was a huge trend back when there was environment behind them and a lot of stuff going on, and your eyes didn't know where to look. You know?
Right. In the New York like crosswalk.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay, so like, you know, you're in LA, which I think you are fortunate in LA because you said there's, you know, there's so many people there, and the fact that you haven't had to do all this like crazy advertising, because the best advertising really is your work. Like someone sees it, they post. Now with social media, like you said, it's blown up. Someone can post it, 300 people see it, 4 of those people start following you, and then they want it, and then it just kind of snowballs, which is, you know, amazing.
That can also backfire too, though. I think, especially if you're a photographer starting out, you know, you could post a few good images and someone sees them, or you've done a ton of Photoshop or something to them, they come to you, they don't get anything like that, and then you've just lost that person. Like you have one shot when you photograph someone to leave an impression, because I definitely have seen people have a very impressive, you know, branding aesthetic, but then the actual work maybe doesn't reflect that. So it can go both ways.
Oh, I never thought about that. That's so true.
Yeah.
There's an agency here in Texas that they are not fans of my work, and they want white background, 3/4 shot, like nothing, you know, they just want it like very simple. And they'll send some of their people to me, but then their people, they look at my Instagram, they look at my website, and they see all the stuff that I shoot, and they want that because that's what they're paying for. And I get put kind of between a hard spot, because the client wants what they're like, I love your work, I love this, they want that. But then the agency is like, we want this. And I'm like, I get in a tough spot, because I'm like, okay, well, they're the ones paying, I have to give them what they want. The agency wants this. You know, you're not going to send me people if I don't give you what you want. So now I've had to ask people, like, what agency are you with? And if they're with that agency, I literally have to tell them, like, okay, we're going to shoot these for your agent to make them happy. This is what they want. So we have to do this. And then we're going to do the fun stuff that you're expecting. And I tell them,
many times.
Yeah. Do you get that too?
Yeah, I've for sure had that. I think, headshots, it's one of those things, like, you're not going to please everyone, and you may not be the one for everybody, right?
So on a typical day, like, what is a typical day for the Stephanie Girard headshot studio? Like, what does it look like?
Yeah. I'm up doing a run first thing in the morning, making myself a cup of coffee, getting ready for the day, packing my kids' lunch, dropping them off at school, coming straight to the studio. Usually my first client's in makeup at 8 a.m. So they're usually done by 9 if it's a woman. So I'm usually coming from drop off straight to the studio, starting shoot number 1 by 9 a.m. And that's the first. And then there's anywhere between 3 and 4 shoots, depending on the day. And yeah, we just kind of not stagger. We have ample amount of time for each person, but schedule it. You know, the scheduling alone is a full-time job for Alu, not me. But yeah, it's scheduling depending on the looks, if there's hair and makeup, if it's a guy versus a girl. And then we finish out the day 5, sometimes 6, sometimes earlier. It really is one of those things, like, if you're a headshot photographer, you really don't have a set schedule. You may have set call times, but depending on the personality that's in front of you, it could be a super smooth, quick day or a very, very long day. And there's a lot of elements that determine that.
Yes. Yes, there is. I mean, actors, I'm an actor, so I can say it. We're difficult. But there's times where it's like, I mean, I've had to deal with this where you get people who, one thing that drives me nuts, and if you're an actor out there listening, after every click when the camera, don't come running around to the computer to look
that part
at that picture.
Yeah.
Like, I will show you the pictures. Don't worry. You're going to see them all. Like, it's so annoying when you're shooting.
But we're so like used to it.
Like instant gratification.
Instant. Everything's instant, right? Yeah. I think a lot of the times we have to say it. Like, we'll take a test shot and adjust a few things. Then the makeup artist might adjust a few things and I'll adjust light. And then we'll be ready to rock. And if they want to take a peek, then that's the time. And I'll even sometimes say, you can kind of, I think, predict if it's someone. And it's genuinely, it's most of the time they're just so excited. Yeah. And I think that's an awesome thing. But it is really hard and distracting because then they run, the hair goes like this, they get back in place, then the makeup artist has to come and fix it again, or they're not in the same spot as we lit them or something like that. So sometimes we have to give the speech of like, okay, well, we'll show you every now and then, but you can't, keep running back and forth. Just get the monitor that turns easily like ours. So you can turn and show them if you need to.
Take a look. Now get back to your spot. And it's, I think it's fun when they're excited. It's hard when they're like, I have a hard time when they just want to critique themselves so much. I look fat. Oh, I look like this. Oh, it's this. And I'm like, you look great. But that also gets difficult because then their energy comes down. I know. We are all so hard on ourselves. But I feel like as photographers, we can sense someone who can handle looking at themselves and someone who cannot. And there's actors that are literally perfect looking who just don't like looking at themselves and who don't like to watch their dailies even. And I just kind of respect if someone is one of those people, then no, they probably shouldn't be peeking while they're shooting. I don't think anybody should be really, unless there's a concern of like, I want to check the lipstick color because I'm feeling insecure about it. And sure, of course, we're going to show you. We can change it if you want. But I think it's hard to look at yourself while you're shooting. I don't think there's anybody out there that doesn't want to like, I want to fix the little, but we all have to just let go. Yeah. Because this is how you look. And this is how you're going to look on set. And this is how you're going to look in your self-tape or when you're in the room meeting them. So yeah, we have a saying in here that's like, if you don't love something that's going on, either just start to accept it or change it. You kind of have two options. That's a good point. Yeah. It's a little tough love, but I think being in your 40s, you start to tell yourself that. So I'm passing on the wisdom. I'm going to get my Botox on Thursday. I'm like, oh, change it. 2 weeks from now, you'll be great. Right. Won't be able to move, won't have any expression in my face, but it'll be great. It'll be frozen. I always have to tell them when I get the Botox, I'm like, look, I am an actor. I have to be able to move my face. You have to be able to move your face. Yeah. Like I can't be like frozen, but we could just maybe make the lines not so harsh. Pronounced. Yeah, pronounced. There you go. Great word. You do what you got to do to make yourself feel hot. That's all. I mean, it's the reality. I'm like, oh God, I'm not. Again, I was looking back at our photos from our first email and I was like, first I was so chubby, but I was I was a baby. Yeah, but you weren't even. It was just your face shape changes. You were young. And yes, it's like baby fat, right? It's just our faces are like a little fuller. I mean, I had no facial hair. Yeah, it was like, wow. It's crazy. Yeah. That was the first shoot. Remember we did the makeup artist put her leg over me with the red heeled bottom and the lipstick. And I have that framed in my studio right down here. Oh, I love that. And I have the one of me in the shower. I have that one giantly framed. The famous shower shot. I wasn't allowed to hang these in the house. And I was like, I get it. Well, I'm like, I might back up AJ a little on this one. But maybe there's an area or a room that's just yours that you can put those up and enjoy them. It's my studio. So when people walk in, it's all just giant photos of myself. There's none of my work. It's all your work. There's nothing it's just giant pictures of me. I love this, but they know what they're getting. And this is you. This is what it is. And I love it. When AJ and I first started dating, he came to my apartment and it was like we had been out and it was late at night. So he didn't really see anything. The next morning he woke up and he was like, oh my God. And I'm like, what? And he turned to the left and I'm not saying like, a 12 by 18. It is like a 48 by 62 canvas of me in the shower. Like, look, I mean, at your old
It's a
studio in the
lot.
shower. Yeah,
It's
it's
a
a lot.
lot.
It's a lot. And he looked over and he goes, "What is that?" And I go, "Well, if you miss me, you see me on both sides. I'm right here on your right, and there it is to the left." So when we bought the ranch, and I was like, "Well, what about my art?" And he goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa." He goes, "What art?" And I was like, "My photos." He goes, "Ben, that," because AJ's really into like art, and he's like real art. He goes, "Ben, that's not art." And I'm like, "Well, art is subjective. So actually it is."
I think it worked out though.
I mean, yeah. I guess I don't really blame him for not allowing giant. It's not like it's even a photo of us. It's literally just me.
Just you.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Um, okay. So I also want to talk about how much, like, for real, and I'm not sitting here trying to, like, just kiss your ass, but how much of an inspiration you have been to me, because I'll never forget the first time I did come to your studio, and I've never, it was such like a warm, welcoming, which actually probably kind of screwed me over because I was like, LA and Hollywood, everyone is so nice and happy, which is not the truth. But I remember coming into your studio, and it was so much fun. Like, I did not want that shoot to end. I'll never forget that. And obviously I have to be one of the top repeat customers.
You're up there for sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot, but
Yeah.
that's what keeps me coming back over and over, is it's like the energy, the way you feel, the fun. And so when I did photography when I was younger, but it was like, I did like horse shows, and I would like I would take pictures, it was like little point and shoot cameras. I had no idea what I was doing. So when I decided that I was like going to try to do this headshot thing in Texas, I remember being like, I'm not going to, at first I thought, I was like, oh my gosh, is Stephanie going to hate this? Is she going to be mad at me? Is she going to like think I'm copying her? And I was like, I was scared at first. And then I was like, you've helped me so much. You have been such like seriously an inspiration. I study your like photos. I look at the stuff you do. I just think it is like, I don't know. I think it's the best.
Thank you. That is
And
incredibly sweet.
I want to thank you for like welcoming me with like into this, career with like advice and help. And I mean, you've literally been on FaceTime with me in my studio showing me like, okay, we should try this and this. You helped me get my lights out of auto mode, and like, just things that was like such basic stuff, but it's been like so helpful. And I just am so appreciative of that.
Thank you. That's very sweet. I feel like as artists, we have to share our knowledge. I think as difficult as Hollywood can be, as you said, you just thought everybody in Hollywood was like that. It is a tough town, but LA is also like a place that's full of dreamers. And it's so many amazing people that move here and leave their small towns or their cities and, come and like leave. I have people leave whole careers behind just because there's something in them that craves more. So the beautiful thing about being here is it is people from literally everywhere coming here to pursue dreams, to be better, to experience more, to expand, right? Expand everything: career, life, relationships, whatever. And so that's the cool part. And so you coming wide-eyed into the studio, like, that's the best part of my job, is just people coming in hopeful and excited and passionate. And like, these are the people I surround myself with every day. What an amazing thing. We're not saving lives, but we're certainly creating art every day. And we're having, really incredible in-depth conversations about literally everything. I mean, people just open up. I know in our shoots, like throughout the years, we've gotten to know each other, and I'm an open book. I'm certainly giving just as much as the people in front of my camera. But also, with photography, I think, kind of mentoring photographers and helping them. Not all of us went to art school, and not all of us, studied photography necessarily in a higher education setting. So I think when you can learn from professionals and learn from our mistakes even, and learn from our success at the same time, you're really getting a different perspective. And the little things like the camera settings that, we had to go through is like, can change the whole game. So sometimes people worry about all the big stuff, right? And the courses they take online and this and that and piecing it all together. But I think when you can just concentrate, focus, learn from someone who's just going to hold your hand and kind of walk through it and help you kind of, the best part is like finding your style, right? Like as you're going and I'm having you describe to me how you're shooting them. And then we're taking that and going, okay, cool. How can we tweak that? Or maybe you should try this. That's like so exciting and so fun. And then seeing the result, your work is incredible. It looks
thank you.
Perfect, literally. And it seems like everybody who shoot is incredibly happy with the result. I think people don't realize how much we give as headshot photographers, right? They're like, oh, you just take some photos. But it is, I mean, both my makeup artists and I, like, there's days that we're just like mentally drained, and I'll come home and be like, babe, I got nothing. Like I have zero, I'm running on empty.
Out. Someone told me one time, like, all you do is hit a button.
Sure.
Okay, you do it. You hit the button.
Sounds fun.
Hit the button. Let me know how that goes.
Yeah. Well, people don't see the emails leading up to it, the preparation, the maintaining of your studio space, the thinking 10 steps ahead. We're all constantly reinventing ourselves and what can we do better, brighter, faster, stronger, all the things. I'm always super aware of like being efficient with someone's time. I'm not trying to rush people, but I also know once we lose an actor and their energy goes down, it's very hard to get it back. So, making sure everything is running efficiently as much as possible. And when that tether doesn't connect or your capture or your Lightroom is glitch, that can just like literally change the whole tone of a shoot and you have to pick it back up again. So there's all kinds of things. I mean, really like a day in the life of a studio, filming that and showing people, they would just have no idea, just down to every little detail.
One thing I was going to say, what you talked about before, that like everyone in LA is these dreamers and has all these ideas. That's one thing that's harder here in Texas is like, you tell people, I want to do this, they look at you like you're crazy. Whereas in LA, you can be like, I'm going to go to the moon and I'm going to bring my dog and we're going to do this. And everyone's like, that's so cool. Like, that's going to be amazing. Like everyone's doing something. Here, you tell them you're an actor, you're a photographer. They're just like, they kind of roll their eyes and it's like, oh, whatever. So it's a little, there are the creative people here, but it's a little harder to find sometimes the creative people.
I think maybe there's just a little more like structure that people like to fall into, but I think you get a lot of the big major cities with large artist communities, you're just going to get more of that. You're going to get people that wherever they came from just wasn't enough for them.
Right.
They wanted more or something different or, and even if it's temporary for a bit and then they go to wherever or, me, just stay. I think I also I love raising my kids here. I love that they're surrounded by that. And people from everywhere. And, no one's weird here. Everyone just, is accepted for whatever their weirdness is. We're all weird.
Everyone does their thing.
Everyone does their thing.
Speaking of your kids, I literally saw your photo the other day of you guys running. You're like me. She's your twin.
Yeah, she is.
And it also makes me sick to my stomach that I'm like, I'm old. Because I remember when you were like, I met you before you were even pregnant.
I know.
And I remember shooting with you when you were pregnant. And now I'm looking at her and she's like, how old is she?
I know, 10, and my little one is 6.
I mean,
it's wild.
It's crazy. That's crazy to me. I literally remember one of our shoots when you were pregnant.
Yeah. I shot up until my due date.
Yeah, I remember. You were
with my
close.
First. Mm-hmm.
That's so crazy.
I know.
Now you guys have your chickens.
We do. We, as well as you, have chickens in our backyard. 9 of them.
So the other thing that Stephanie has done that is for me, I mean, one of many that is so amazing for everyone, all of the branding stuff, all of the photo shoots, all of the everything for It's Been a Week was shot by Miss Stephanie. And I remember when I was coming up with the whole concept for this podcast, and I was like, okay, obviously branding is super important and I have to do a photo shoot, and you were the only option that I was going to do. And I will also never, ever forget when I called you and you were telling me all these ideas and you're like, oh, I think we could do this and this. And then I was like, okay, this all sounds great. And in my head, I'm thinking, it's also starting to sound expensive. And I go, how much is this going to be? And you go, oh, I'm not charging you. And I get chills right now just saying that. No one has ever done something like that for me. Like that was one of the nicest things like anyone has ever done. I was so appreciative of that. Again, I'm so thankful.
It was my pleasure.
And
I believe in you, and I believe in this, and what an amazing idea. When you were telling me about you and AJ and your ranch, I was like, wow, how is this not a reality show? I would tune into this every day.
Because there's something every day.
Uh-huh.
But I think that was the big thing is when you by you doing that, it was you being like, I believe in you in this. And that was like, that was really cool. And we got to, have a martini and a chicken on my shoulder, which, I mean, how often do you get to do that? I can guarantee you haven't done that many photo shoots with chickens and martini glasses.
Definitely not. Although now that we have chickens, maybe a few more times.
So yeah, chickens are fun. We have I think we're up to 20 chickens.
Oh my God.
And one duck.
We have 9 in our little Los Angeles, backyard farm. They're running around with our dog and our kids. And
You don't have any roosters though, right?
No, you're not allowed to.
Oh,
so in the city of Burbank, you're not allowed to have roosters. We have a more like girl power coop, just all hens.
All the girls.
It literally says Mojo Dojo Casa Coop on it.
Oh my gosh. Well, we were supposed to have all girls, but when you go to the store here and you buy chickens that they say are girls, I think what are they called? Pullets or whatever?
I love that you just go to the store and buy them in Texas. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, you can't. Do you have to order them online?
No, we have to order. We ordered like day old chicks, and they literally come in a. I mean, it's wild. Yeah, they come in a box.
You just go to the feed store here and you pick them out.
Yeah,
like they're just there.
We did not.
But they said they're called pullets, which is the female. Yeah. So I was ordered.
Yes.
But well, that's not a guarantee because they grew up and they're cockle-doodle-dooing. And then you go to the store and I'm like, you guys sold me roosters, and they're like, it's tough shit. I'm like, what?
There's places here that'll take your rooster. There's plenty, LA loves its animals. So there's plenty of places where you could bring your fella and drop him off.
Well, they have that here too called the Rooster Roundup, but I don't think it's as friendly as.
Got it.
Yeah. So we have 3 roosters but they get along pretty well because they free range, so they have room to go around.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. We're digressing on chickens, but
we can talk about chickens when you have them. Let me tell you, it's a whole thing. And as soon as you talk to somebody else that has them, it becomes this whole conversation. It is.
There's like chicken math and there's all the things. The other day I was at Home Depot in the parking lot. I bought a picnic table for my chickens. Did you hear
we
that
have
correctly?
beanies for ours.
Yeah, I literally was leaving the store and there's a guy out of a van and I'm like, what is all these little wooden things? So I rolled my window down. So I don't know what I was thinking. I go, what is this? And he goes, they're picnic tables for chickens. And I go, oh, of course they are. Great. How much? And I think he was like $24.99. I was like, you take Venmo? And he's like, sure do. And I brought home a picnic table for my
I would have done the same thing.
And now I put their treats in there and they stand on the seats and they eat. Chickens are its own community.
Ours jump up like ballerinas. We have like a citronella plant to keep the mosquitoes away. And they literally ping and like fly up in the air. Like I want to put little tutus on them.
Oh, see, chickens are, they're interesting little creatures. And they eat all the bugs. And
this is when half the viewers have left the podcast.
The viewers are like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Wrap it up.
Okay. We'll close the chapter on chickens. Chickens. Caw. What do you have going on? You're doing obviously headshots, but you're doing trainings. Like, tell me what you got going on now in the future.
Yeah. So we started developing what we call the headshot experience. And, we used to do a lot of in-person workshops. And then it evolved to potentially doing some online classes, which just in my humble opinion became a very saturated market. So as much as we may still kind of have some content out there for maybe photographers starting out, we're really focusing on one-on-one, coaching or mentorships where it can be something as simple as like one session that you're just stuck on something or need to troubleshoot or want help developing, an efficient workflow, or just like, I just want, an hour of a lighting tutorial where you're just walking me through a really solid headshot lighting setup. Because there's so much, there's amazing like free stuff out there, but it's not catered to each individual. It's very kind of one size fits all and more of like a corporate headshot approach. Of like if you're cranking through 50 people at a conference or something, which I think is really valuable to know, and kind of the foundation, the white background, the standard kind of simple setup. But I think we're focusing more on working with people that kind of already have that down, and really wanting to expand more. Because I do find even with our corporate clients, right? Like we went and shot a bunch of executives at one of the big studios here. And, they had done that. They had done that a few years back and we're like, yeah, we don't want that again. And they're wanting something different and they're wanting more of how we shoot actors, or even, one of them wanted like black and white portraits. So that kind of stuff. And it's just taking kind of the general public of headshot photographers and starting to help people, stand out in that sea of, where everything looks the same.
Right.
And helping them develop their style and push it even further. And then, it can be something, like I said, as simple as one little session or a full on, coaching mentorship where from start to finish, we're going through all the things, that they need, that either they've come up with or they're having us develop a whole structure for them. Because I love working with photographers. I think it's hard to teach photography to the masses. Right. I think it's really, on a basic level you can, but then there's a point where everyone kind of hits a wall and is like, what else? This isn't working. Or if your stuff is looking the same as it did 5, 6, 7 years ago, it's time to switch it up. You know,
you got to keep elevating.
Right. And if everyone in this, area, all the headshot photographers in that area, if their stuff all looks the same, well, why are they going to choose you over the next person? It's then just going to come down to price. Right. And then what happens? Right. Everyone lowers their prices and no one's making money. So it's really just making sure like every photographer is kind of finding their voice. There can be consistency, but there's got to be something that sets you apart. It can't all of a sudden like look like a completely different, there's got to be consistency there, but the evolving as an artist is so important.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, because I think I did a post one time of like, which I should probably repost that for this podcast, but it was like all the ones you've shot. And it was like,
throughout the years,
you kind of see the evolution of how it's changed, which is great.
Evolution of the cameras, of the lighting. Yeah.
Everything.
Everything.
That's crazy. So if people want to get involved and if there's photographers out there, they want to learn and get in touch with you, what is the best way to do that?
Either through my headshot website or the headshot experience, depending on what they're looking at. If it's actors wanting to shoot, then it's the Steph Girard Headshots website. But for photographers specifically, the headshot experience is where they're going to find all that information.
Okay. So I'll make sure I link all that in the show notes so people can find you on both ways, whether you're an actor, photographer, or do you shoot anyone else other than headshot, like actors?
Yeah, we shoot a lot of executives and especially like entertainment industry executives, lawyers, realtors. If you think about it, pretty much every profession needs a headshot. Everyone on LinkedIn.
Everyone needs a headshot at some point, I feel like, in their life, whether they're creative or not.
Sure.
What's your opinion on this world of AI and headshots? Because I see people on there and they're like, oh, look what, and some of them I'm like, oh, whatever. But now I'm seeing some and I'm like, shit, it's actually not terrible.
Yeah. I think, it was such a hot topic here during the SAG strikes. Mm-hmm. It's such a big subject. right? There could be a whole episode just on this.
Right.
And it is fascinating and it is exciting and it's really cool from an artistic point of view what it can do. I think there's amazing things about it and there's tools that make our job easier. So stuff like that, it's great. As far as retouching capabilities, it's certainly made things more efficient. And what they can, I mean, removing glare from glasses, that kind of stuff. It's just awesome.
Right.
I'm a huge fan. Do I think like AI headshots? I'm not super in support of that because it's not actually the person.
Right.
So even if I'm a kid like fresh out of college and I want to put my photo on LinkedIn and get a job, you can upload your selfie and it'll put you in a suit and all that. But like, I don't know, you're actually not representing yourself at that point. So it's a hot topic. And I've said this before with another photographer that we were discussing AI, and I was saying that, if it gets to the point that actors are using AI headshots of themselves, like that may be where I tap out.
Right.
I don't know. That none of us got into this business for that, but I also want to learn about it more. I also want to, create. I've definitely played around with creating images with it. I think creating images with it is fun and interesting. And as long as we know that they're created in AI, then that's something. But there's, it's a big subject here. And thankfully I'm around people that are really, really knowledgeable about it. And it is an incredible thing. I just think we have to be responsible about it,
I think like what you said, it's a great tool, to be used as there's times in Photoshop now where you can just circle something and say, remove this, and it removes it.
I know, right?
Things like that I think is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think to your point, if actors are going to start using AI for their headshots, basically the acting industry is going to die because then they're just going to start using AI to make actors, which was the whole, debate in the beginning. So I do think hopefully people know, like, you really should, as a creative and as an artist, go to another creative and artist to get your photos and not just take a selfie, upload it. And because you can always kind of tell. And like you said, it's not really you.
Right.
It might be what you want to look like, but it's not.
Sure. Yeah. It's so interesting. But I think everyone has to, it's there. So I think when we're scared of something or we don't know about something, we should learn about it.
Yeah.
I'm certainly doing what I can right now to learn as much as I can because it is something that is in my field. It's in my industry. I'm not a big fan of fear tactics, so I'd like to learn about things I don't know.
Yeah, and I think it's better sometimes. I mean, we kind of have to jump on the train a little bit, otherwise it's just going to drive right past you. So
sure is.
You got to at least, like you said, at least educate yourself on it, at least know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to wrap things up, what is one bit of advice you can give any actor, any person that's coming into your studio to be prepared, to be ready? Like, what's one bit of advice you can give anyone that's coming in?
Probably the hardest advice you can hear, which is to walk in and prepare yourself to just accept yourself, that you're perfect at that moment, that wherever you are in your life, whatever's going on outside the studio doors, whatever 5 pounds you didn't lose, whatever exercise you did or didn't do, whatever facial it's you're there, you're meant to be there that day, and just accepting that who you are at that moment is enough.
Very good. And I'm going to add on to that. Make sure your clothes are pre-steamed before you get there. Make sure your hair is brushed, and please brush your teeth and put some deodorant on.
That part too.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a week. I think you've been here since the birth of this podcast. You helped me with this podcast. I'm just so, obviously I can't thank you enough for that. Can't thank you enough for all the photos you've done. What are we on, 13, 14? So
of course you are.
Yeah, always. You can never have too many photos. Just ask AJ. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to link all your stuff in the show notes. I hope anyone, if you need headshots, if you need anything, if you're in LA or if you can get yourself to LA, please go to see Steph Girard.
Oh, you're so sweet. And right back at you, anyone in Texas. Well, you're the best.
Second option, but first, if you have the option to go to Stephanie, go to her. Thank you for listening to that episode of It's Been a Week, but don't touch that dial because it's not over yet. Get ready for the after show. Been there, done that with AJ. Well, we're going to get AJ's take on whatever the fuck I just said. Ready? And we're back. Been there, done that with AJ.
We are back. Why do you have to put all your dirty laundry out on this podcast?
It's not airing dirty laundry. It's what fucking happened.
I know I understand, but like,
and it relates to this podcast, actually.
I know it does, but also like, one, devil's advocate, you really still have no idea of what actually has happened. So you've determined what you believe to be true.
Here is where I'm going to stop you.
Yeah.
I was not going to talk about this on the podcast because I was like, yeah, what if she had like a mental breakdown? What if she's like in an institution? I don't know, where she probably should be.
Ben,
but
you have a piece of green thing in your teeth.
Oh, I do. It's because I had a salad because I'm trying to be healthy. Where I really lost it, even if it was like she was watching my story, because I was like, okay, she could still be in a hospital bed and be watching my story. But when she started posting on her own stories and then she wrote this whole thing, it was like, happy Sunday, XX. Like, she's off and then blocked you and I from seeing that. It's just so intentional that there's nothing wrong. If there was something wrong, she wouldn't be posting and then blocking us from her stories.
Right. But here's the other thing. And I said this the other day. I'm going to say it again here for everyone else to hear. Why does it matter? Like, if this is how that person is, let them be the way they are and move on from it. It's horrible. If that's how someone wants to treat you, you know well that I've been treated this way by other people. And when that occurred in one particular instance and other people wanted to, at that moment, side with them, they all learned the story themselves the same way. And it happened to them. And I think that, totally fine. Like, if it feels good for you to express yourself and talk about it, and that's part of like you healing, then that's great. But I think you should also be acknowledging that maybe that's actually really the bigger part is your pain and hurt from being mistreated by someone, which I do think you got a little bit out of today. But remember, like, you don't have to retaliate.
I think this is it. Like, I just got it out, explained my side, and
Yeah.
I'm done. Like, I'm just done with her. I don't care.
Right. And so the point of sharing it with everyone here is because you want her to hear it. And you also think that it's like just a funny story for people to hear.
Well, yeah, I'm like, if you're going to fuck me over, at least I got good content out of it. Make an episode out of it.
Yeah, I guess.
But what I think what she, again, I can get over all of, like, if her standing me up, not doing the podcast, like, whatever, that stuff, it's like, whatever. It's the fact that she knows all week long. I've been texting her, emailing her, calling her, reaching out to her mom, literally thinking, like, is my friend like hurt?
Right.
And she knows that.
Right.
And she can't just say like, hey, I'm all good.
Right.
I don't, there's no excuse.
So I have a point on that before I make it, though. I think it's important for everyone to know, like, there was urgency and the need for this also to have happened because the conversation was relative to Father's Day, like your own story, this person's own story, and the fact that it was Father's Day. So, like, not only was it like, supposed to happen, it was set to happen, it was timely. The conversation was like something that was important for you to talk about. I know for you to talk about, like, I think you're still dealing with that in your own life. So it's kind of a shame because from my understanding, I know that from the little bit I know, this person probably is still healing. And like, maybe that was the challenge of them getting on this podcast, right? Like, of not being able to address what they thought they were going to be able to address. Or maybe it could have actually been great for them to have a place to talk about it. But regardless, if it was either of those things, they shouldn't be ignoring you because that's just rude. And so I agree with you. The other point that I wanted to make was, why give them any amount of attention and all this time that you now and I are speaking about it, but you opened your whole podcast, like, F that. Like, that's my whole thing with people. Like, if they are going to be this way, I'm not going to waste time on them.
Well, yes, on that, but it's because it was I cared about this person. Like, I really thought they were a friend, and it consumed my whole week because I was actually concerned. That's why I'm like, fuck, like, this is fucked.
Yeah,
but I'm done talking about her.
I think if you also look back though, from my like viewpoint of your friendship, some of this doesn't seem that strange to me because there's been flakiness and like
All the
hints
time.
of this
Yeah.
in the past. So, you know, I think something that's great about you is that you do, like, I think you even said you don't get angry or like you don't, whatever you said at the beginning, but like
Yeah.
you do like choose to move on a lot of times from things. And I think that's something you and I both share. It's like almost like a welcomed ignorance to things where it's like, I'd rather just not pay attention to this,
Right.
you know? And so I think that's awesome because that in itself allows you to keep moving forward in life. But in moments like this, where this is so significant, I do think it's appropriate to recognize that there may have been other moments throughout your friendship that probably highlighted this
Right.
type of action. And at the end of the day, you either have to like accept people for who they are or be like, that's not how I want to be treated, you know? And I just think that like, hopefully this person's fine. But based upon everything you've shared, it sounds pretty shitty that there's just all this ignoring happening. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry for you for that. Now back to photography. Kudos to you on like everything that you're doing here and like selling out all these things that you do down in Dallas. It's freaking awesome.
Pop-ups.
Yeah, you and Jocelyn are like killing it. And I know that some people like try to replicate what you all do. And it sounds like that hasn't been as successful for all those people. So I think it's awesome that you guys keep proving that you can sell these things out.
Well, yes, there's a lot of other photographers and makeup artists that have tried to steal our idea. They
Yeah.
even steal like our verbiage and our whole shtick, which is fine. Because the talent, at the end of the day, the talent shines through.
Yeah.
Like these photographers, no offense, their images don't compare.
Yeah. But
Let's talk about Stephanie.
okay. I love Stephanie. I think it's fabulous that she agreed with me on no pictures in the house.
Well, which is kind of bullshit, Stephanie, because it's her photos.
That's what she don't care. She's like, she knows they're good photos. She just knows that like they're not supposed to be hung up all around the house.
She also has known me for years, and that every time we do a photo shoot, I would always get them blown up huge.
Yeah. It's incredible that you found her 14 years ago, that you've had all these shoots with her, that your relationship has grown beyond just that to now her mentoring you as you become even a better photographer, and the way that even sometimes like I think people compliment you and your work and like celebrate you. I hear you say like it's because of her, you know, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's cool that, like, I remember that first photo shoot at our studio, and I remember being like, God, I want to hang out with these girls, her and the makeup artist. It was like so much fun. And it's crazy now to think 14 years later, we're still shooting, and now she's mentoring me. And the best compliment ever that I get is I have a lot of people that will email me or they'll show up at the photo shoot and they're like, I want photos like this. And they show me Stephanie's photos.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, I know exactly who took that photo. And by the way, she's the one who's mentored me and teaches me how to do all this shit.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's fun and it's cool to be not put in the same category, but for people to look at her images and then look at mine and be like, do them like that, like this is how we want them, and they think that I can accomplish that for them, is like the best compliment ever. So yeah, I'm gonna keep trying to elevate and just keep, she's like Stephanie, she didn't even talk about it, but she was like the first one. I remember she told me one time that like first started doing a hair light, and people would be like, what are you doing? And it was like then all of a sudden everyone was doing a hair light where it's like a light above the head and it lights their hair.
Yeah.
And so Stephanie has really like led the pack, I think, on a lot of different trends, which like I think she really did kind of start, not start, but the canvas thing. She was like all about the canvas. And now every photographer is using canvas. Like she really does kind of start these little trends and then people follow suit.
That's so cool. I mean, she obviously is before this like cliche thing of an influencer, right? Which is like the best of the best artists, the way that.
Well, you think about headshots, you think LA.
Yeah.
Right? You think the best actors are all in LA. And then when backstage, which I don't know if they even do their awards anymore, but she was voted number one like year after year. So like obviously people are looking to her.
Yeah.
And so then when she starts doing things, it's like, so she gets copied all the time. So I'm here getting all like butthurt that these people around here are copying me. It's like people are copying her shit all the time. Hell, I copied her.
Well, and she talked about that. And I think that you know, flattery, like it, or
Oh, yeah, what is that? Mimicry is the greatest form of flattery? Or
mimicry.
mimicry?
No, mimicking someone. I think it's like, well,
Imitation.
imitation. There we go.
Imitation is
It's
the
the best
greatest.
form of flattery.
Yeah.
But like, it's just like every great artist, right? Like if you think of massive artists that were ahead of their time or that like created moments in art history, and then people went and took it, whether it's impressionism because someone created that or like whatever it is, and it's fabulous to think she's, you know, at the front of maybe the way that this headshot industry
Mhm.
happens. But I really think that, you know, what makes your work, having been on the other side of the, like having pictures taken of me
Mhm.
throughout my life for different things, you know, it is about like who's taking the photo and the way that they bring out your energy or the way that they make you comfortable. Like when she was talking about people feeling
Yeah.
comfortable and needing to look, and that human interaction and the emotional intelligence to understand who your figure is and how do you get the best out of them. And I think that people who are looking for photos a lot of times will just be like, oh, my so and so took my photos, you should go to them. Or like, there's this person in town that could do it. They might turn to AI. And I think what people need to look for too is like, who's the person that's taking the image? Who's the person that's going to bring out the best in me? Who's got the creativity to think differently? The way you just said about putting the lights on the hair, or like when you have done stuff with people when their horses are in the barn and you know the right way to light it so it actually brings depth and you're not just doing things in Photoshop like everyone else is doing. Like,
It's more than just hitting a button.
it is more than hitting a button. And I know you've referenced that, and you know that I'm one of those people that said it as a joke to you.
I know.
Because I know that it's not that at all. I know that there's so much complexity in it that's technical, but the part that I think I'm focusing on is like that human part of you. And like I heard that in her. She sounds like such a wonderful person that no wonder why she's booked months in advance. Like, who wouldn't want to work with someone that sounds so caring and genuine? Like she talked about the joy that people bring to the space when they have that ambition and drive, and like how that fuels her. I think it's so much deeper than what we oftentimes just think is, oh my God, it's going to cost that much to have my photo taken.
Right.
Like people, that's the wrong perspective. Like that you need to look at it differently.
Right.
Because it's really art, and I think that's amazing. Even though you are not hanging out those damn photos in the house, even though it is art, they are not going up in the house.
Well, to be determined. Well, if anyone wants to check out my photography, you can look at benjaminmcdonald.com, or I'm going to have link all of Stephanie's stuff in the show notes so you guys can check her out. And for everyone else, I will see you next Tuesday.